Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for participating in this Zoom discussion about making your house an accessible home. And again, I'd just like to thank you all for coming and participating in this discussion. My name is Hilary. I'm one of the outreach officers with Spinal Injuries Ireland, and I'm going to ask everybody to introduce themselves and so maybe share a little bit of information about yourselves. So Gemma, I'm going to start with yourself. You're to my left.
My name is Gemma Willis, and I live on the Carlow-Wicklow border. So yeah, on the Wicklow border. Well, I'm on the Carlow-Wicklow border, but I am County Wicklow by healthcare. I'm a manual wheelchair user from 2015. I was involved in a bad road traffic accident, and I'm paralysed from the waist down. And I'm currently living in my family home.
Thank you very much. Tim?
Hi, I'm Tim. I got prostate cancer in 2017, caused a spinal compression, ended up in the mater and paralysed from the waist down. Came out of the National Rehabilitation Hospital in 2018. I have a manual wheelchair, I have an electric, and I have a Go Faster gizmo called a Battec, which turns me into Easy Rider for the manual wheelchair. An interesting thing about me is that I live beside the hospital, so I play ukulele in a band in the music therapy department in the NRH.
Fabulous.
Thanks, Tim. Jenny?
Hi, everybody. My name is Jenny. I also live just around the corner from the hospital as well. And I have my my spinal cord injury is L1, and I'm an incomplete injury. I can stand, but I mostly use a wheelchair. And yeah, I can't remember what else I was about to say there. So
Lots of information. Thank you. Kathy?
Yeah, hi, my name is Kathy Fitzpatrick, and I live on the outskirts of Cork City. I used to use a manual chair for 30 years, and now I'm using a power chair for the last 10 years. My injury is T5 to T11, spinal tumor. I'm a widow with 3 children, and 2 are still living at home with me. And I live in a dormer bungalow, and I worked most of my life in CUH in administration. What do you want to know about me? I'm a former Paralympian. I was involved with Paralympics for 12 years, and I have a collection of medals from discus and pentathlon. And I would never have got involved in that level of sport, only for my disability. And the first wheelchair games that they had in the NRH, I was involved there. So that got me off the road. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. Paula?
Hi, my name is Paula McCormick, and I had an accident in 2011 where I fell down a metal staircase and did some damage to the lower back. I had an operation in Tala Hospital in 2015, and after the operation I was left paralysed down the left leg, cardiac whinus syndrome. So I was in a manual wheelchair from 2011 to then going to an electric wheelchair in 2015. Happily, I'm out of the wheelchair now. I partly use the wheelchair. It'll be on days that it really needs to be used. I joined a gym and found an amazing personal trainer who worked on the MEDEX exercise program. And yeah, I got back walking a good, a fair bit, compared to what I was like. But I was totally, when I was getting the work done for my house, I was totally dependent on the wheelchair. I'm from Dublin.
Thanks, Paula. Kate, last but not least.
I'm Kate Nolan. I'm from Carlow. My injury is L4-SI. It's from a spinal tumor. So I also have got equina as well. I can walk now, thankfully. But I was, and I do still have a chair if I need it, but so far so good. Interesting about me, not really. I can't sing or dance, but I was a really good salesperson in my day, and I worked in that for many years.
Thanks, Kate. Thanks to everybody. And I suppose I just want to start off by asking, you've all had kind of various bits and pieces done to your homes to make them more accessible. And I suppose looking back before you started, what did you want to achieve starting off? When you thought of what needed to be done, what did you want? I don't know who wants to pop up their hand or take that question first. Paula?
Well, the first thing I needed was access into the bathroom. I had no downstairs toilet. I lived in a house that was built in the 1970s, so there was no downstairs toilets. So if I was downstairs, I literally used to have to go out behind my wheelie bins, and that's where I had set up a bucket. And so I needed access to the toilet, otherwise I had to stay upstairs all the time. So it was toilet and shower access is what I needed.
Okay, anybody else want to hop in there, Tim?
Yeah, I live in a bungalow with my wife, and I wasn't able to get into the toilet. Needed ramps front and back, and we decided that, or the OT from the NRH gave us a report that we decided to change one of the bedrooms into a bigger room from my bed and put a toilet, a wet room outside onto it. So we went with that, and we got a grant off Dunleary and Rathdown County Council. We applied for the 30 grand and we got that. The extension cost 40, so we had to go to the credit union as well. But the grant itself was reasonably simple in the sense that we thought it was going to be much more difficult. But you have to fill out the forms, you have to dot the I's, cross the T's, and it took a long time. I left the hospital before the wet room was built, so I had no access to the toilet or bathroom in here, but I got an agreement from the hospital that I could use their showers as I was only across the road. Initially, this was supposed to take 3 months, but it took 15 months to get the whole thing done and sorted, builders and the forms and all that. But we got the wet room built, we got the ramps put in, and the one problem I have is that the other doors are not wide. So I did spend some time losing my knuckles going through the doors. But I've got used to that now. I watch out what I'm doing. That's me.
Thank you very much, Tim. We'll have a chat about the grant system in a little while, just to see how everybody else found it, and if people gave up on it or continued, or what the success rate for people is, because I know, as you said, it's the time, the time issue that seems to be huge for people. So it seems to be a big thing. Kathy, what did you want when you looked into making your home more accessible?
I suppose this is my third house that I've lived in since my disability. Initially, when I came home from Dunleary, I had to wait in Dunleary until my parents put on an extension. So they put on a wet room and a bedroom for me, and made the front door accessible. And then when I got married, we moved into another house, and there I was still in a manual chair that time, so I just had to do a ramp, and the bathroom was okay at that stage. But then the third house, there was a lot more work to be done. But what I found really was the best thing, because I'm longer in a chair, I think, than a lot of the rest of you, was like my oven is from a girl's looking at her house down in Shannon, in Cork. My table came from looking at some other spinal injury fella in Galway. And my internal doors are from the Wheelchair Association house in Clontarf. So I think when people are doing any kind of adaptations, try and look at other houses first to get a better idea of what you want in the end, because it's the experience of other spinal injury people, other people with disabilities, that it'll make life easier in the long term for you. So I think it's taken me 30 years to get the right house, my dream house.
But it's there. You're there.
It's there, yeah.
Jenny, yours is quite a recent.
I've only just moved back into mine like 2 months ago. I'm delighted with it. I was sort of in a very different situation, in the sense of I've had 3 spinal cord injuries through my life. So the first one starting in 2008. So I've known for a long time that it was going to get worse. And so when I actually bought my house in 2011, I was considering down the road at that stage already. So I bought a dormer bungalow, so I was able to get into my house straight away in a wheelchair, which was quite nice, apart from a ramp at the front door that I had to put out. So really my considerations were more along the lines of making the house more accessible for me to live in independently, because I live here on my own. So it was to cut down on maintenance and just make everything that little bit easier for me to access as well. So I didn't have to, have to have people come around and do my bins or cut my grass for me, or various jobs. Like I had to get people to come around and do my laundry, because all my laundry was out in the garage, and that was down a step as well. So really mine was sort of to make it level access all through the house, and I widened all the doors and did a bit of an extension at the back as well to make the house a bit bigger for me, so that I could access the garage as well. So I have a utility room in the garage now as well, which is great. So they were my sort of considerations when I was going into it.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a very clear idea of what.
Well, because I've lived in the house for a long time, and I was living in the house for probably about 6-7 months before I got the work done in a wheelchair. So I sort of knew what the problems were as well, which was great.
Yeah, the benefit of hindsight, and being able to look forward, and
being able to plan was very handy for me, I have to say.
Yeah. Kate, how has your experience been? What did you want, first of all, when you started looking at making your house more accessible?
Well, I was kind of in denial, and I didn't really want. I just thought everything would get better, But very similar to Paula, I didn't have the downstairs toilet, and that was a huge issue. And then I didn't have a shower. It was a bath, which I was told not to use because of falls. So I was showering in the gym, the local gym, and and things took time. But I am going to be moving to a bungalow now.
Mhm.
It just doesn't work, the stairs, you know. But I lived in denial for quite a time, and I didn't really want to deal with the issues, and a lot of the delays were kind of on my fault, as you know.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, yeah. But I've come to the realization that the stairs is just not. They don't marry together. And
Yeah.
you might have to deal with them outside, but it's best to be on the flat in your own home. You know,
Yeah, to feel the
there's a certain
safest.
amount of fear you live in. Yeah, but you learn the hard way. I think I just tortured myself a little bit more than necessary until I, come to terms with it. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's good now to have a clearer idea of what you
Yeah.
need.
Absolutely, it all becomes clearer. Unfortunately, these things happen. I suppose admitting it to yourself
That's the main thing, and
make life easier. That's the one thing I'd give to anyone. The advice is ask for help. I struggled with asking for help as well.
Yeah,
That was a big issue for me.
That's a big thing to say, and it's a great thing to be able to say to people. It's ask for help. That's a huge thing.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a given. You need to. There's a lot of things you couldn't do for yourself. At a point of time, and denial was my biggest thing. I was like, this is going to get better, but it doesn't. But yeah, showering in the gym isn't pleasant.
Yeah, onwards and upwards.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
Gemma, you are the generation of living at home, like many thousands of other people in their 20s. What was the plan in your house when you came home, or before you came home?
Our plan was do it as quick as possible to get me home. So we didn't go for a grant or anything, because it was just do it as fast, anything to try to get me home as quick. But we were lucky because we live in a bungalow, so it was a ramp at the back door, and then it was just to make the bathroom bigger. So, take out the bath, make it into a wet room. And we broke down a wall between my room and a junk room, just to make my bedroom bigger. So we were lucky in that. And I like that then as well. Yes, widen doors, because that's the biggest thing. Being a wheelchair user, I was finding when I was coming home at weekends, and you might, or even you were going to family or friends' house, I was knocking my knuckles. Where at home, you're so used to your comfort when all the doors are a bit wider. And actually, I was only saying earlier that one of the best things I did, and like Kathy said, you see from traveling to people's houses, and I saw it in the NRH, they had sliding doors in one of the rooms I was in, and I was now sliding door into my bedroom, and it was the best thing I did.
It's great that you had the footprint of the bungalow to work with from the beginning. That's very good. That worked much easier, I'd imagine.
Exactly, and because my plan is to build myself, and then before I'm 30, I'll build a house, and at least like that, I'm living these experiences in. Okay, it's an accessible house, but it's not fully accessible. that I'm seeing what's right and wrong and what I know needs doing and what you can live and what you can't live without. That it's giving me an idea of what I want then when I build.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that. I've it might sound like a funny question, but kitchen wise, Gemma, because I know you're big into baking. And how is your kitchen? Was there much? Did you have to have much done there?
We did nothing on the kitchen. I'm at the moment, it's kind of been make do, that if I'm using my like food processor or anything, you know, I put it on a little coffee table that it's low enough that I'm still able to look into it and everything. And then I set everything up on the kitchen table, and I have they had it in the NRH kitchen, and that's where I saw it. They have this trolley thing. I don't know what, this trolley thing. And I got one of those, and it's great that I can put all my cooking stuff on, and then I can wheel it across to the table that it's beside me, or I set myself up at the kitchen table, and I'm still able to do my cooking and baking and everything. So that's great.
What was I going to say? Lost the train of thought there. I'm just distracted by the baking. I suppose having, as you say, living in that space and then being able to have all the ideas for when you do have your own home and your own space, and that's, you know, being able to as Kathy was as well, living in a space and then being able to, you know, to plan to make it definitely your own, your forever home, as you said, Kathy. If you're looking around your home, and what would you say the best thing or the best couple of things, that the best big things that you've had done, what would they be, to anybody wants to answer that, Kathy?
Yeah, I think the best thing I ever did, sorry, going back to Gemma there for a second, when you build that house, Gemma, we'll all be up for the party and the cakes. I'll be waiting for my invite. Just one of the things in my kitchen, Gemma, and it would be a benefit, is a Neff oven, which has you catch the handle at the top and you pull it out, and then the door glides underneath the oven. And so it's not in your way. You can get really close to the oven. And then when you pull out the bottom shelf, you can have a casserole on top of it and won't tilt out. It'll stay level. So you can, you know, check something at the oven and push it back in again. You don't have to lift something hot out of the oven onto a table to check it and put it back in again. So that is one of the best things I've ever put in. The other thing that I found, I wish somebody had said it to me when we were doing our bedroom afterwards, was to put in a ceiling hoist. You may not need it at the very beginning, and I suppose for a long time I was in denial, and using like a manual hoist in a bedroom or in a bathroom, it takes up so much space afterwards. Whereas if you have a ceiling hoist, it's just on a runner, it's out of the way, and you know, I have carers coming in the morning and night, and when they come in, they say that the overhead ceiling hoist is so much easier to manage and less hassle for them and for you at the end of the day as well. That was one of my best things I ever did in the house. And there again, Paula, the sliding doors, I have those in all the internal house. And so most of them are open all the time nearly. But like it just saves so much space again. And I think that's crucial. You just want things out of your way, so you've a sort of a clear run of things more than anything else. And I know it takes a bit more because the doors have to be specially made because they're that bit bigger. but it's worth it in the long run. And like I was in a manual chair for 30 years and then my health went down. So I ended up in a power chair. And because of that, things changed a bit. But having everything on hand. And one of the other good things I put in was a sink. I'll send you a picture, David, of it, and you can put it up. You can wheel directly under it, and it hits your midriff, and you can brush your teeth, but you're not, you can get right under it. You can wash your hair over the sink, or whatever. But like some of the sinks in any place, there's a bar in your way, or there's something or other, and I think that's really important. And in the bathroom, for all us women, we like to be looking at ourselves, a mirror on a swivel, so that if somebody else in the house is using it, they can swivel it up to their height, or you can twist it down. Those are things that are very beneficial. I have in my kitchen, I have a height adjustable island in the middle with a shallow sink and a hob on it. So when I'm cooking, I can use it down at my level. And then when the lads want to cook, they can just bring it up to their level. And I can drive under the sink completely and drive under the cooker. Initially, when I ordered the hob, I ordered one with knobs on it, forgetting that that would be in my way later on. So we had to take that back in a mad hurry when the kitchen guy was here and pick up a new one immediately with just sensor knobs at the very front. So, because I find lifting saucepans is very awkward. So I just fill the saucepan from the sink, drag it over onto the hob, and then when it's finished, drag it back to the sink again and pour it down to strain it. So height adjustable kitchen unit is absolutely fantastic. And when I got my kitchen, a lot of places, the rest of the kitchen is just a normal kitchen, except it's more drawers than shelves, and more pull-out shelves where there are shelves, because it's so much easier. I've cups in a drawer, my plates, all my cutlery, all my delf is in a drawer, and it just makes it easier. You're not stretching in to the back of the shelf that you can't reach. And I think those sort of things are very important. I've seen a thing in somebody else's house, a fridge, and on the outside door is like a mini fridge, a small, tiny little door. And in there you can have milk and butter. Instead of having to open the whole fridge, you can just have a tiny little one. It's in the door of the fridge. It's quite a nifty little thing. I wish when I was doing my adaptations that I had put in automatic window openings and curtain closing, because I think we did most of the things here, except like I have a sunroom and all the windows are up high, because at the time all I wanted was a clear view out, but I forgot about the ventilation. So more often than not now the door is constantly open there, because the heat in there, especially this summer, was unbelievable. One of the things I'd say to people to think about when they're adapting a house is we put a carport outside our utility. So I can drive under the carport and get out of my car. You're not getting soaked wet in the winter time. And I also have a clothesline under the carport. So in all sorts of weathers, you can put that. And I got the clothesline from somebody up in Cavan. And I have a round table in the kitchen. And I can sit at any part of the table instead of going into somewhere and you're looking, oh, can I fit at the top? or at the bottom or at the side, and you're a bit in no man's land. The round table came from a lady's house in Bantry, and I just went home and rang the guy who supplied her. He delivered it flat pack, and I paid him on delivery. So, and that came from an idea, and oh no, from Galway I got that idea. So somebody's house up there had a round table. So I think from looking at all different houses, you can get great ideas. One small thing I have, my nephew did it. He, you know, the things you put a television on the wall to pull him on and off, pull out the television. Well, he put a sheet of fiberglass on it and stuck the telephone onto it, controls for the lights and the controls for the alarm as well. But I can extend that when I'm in bed and just press the lights on and off and answer the phone. And it's so handy. And it's only a television stand that you put up on the wall and some kind of a board to tie it up together. If there's any money left over in the fund, do something with your garden. Put in raised beds, because somebody's always adjusting some bed or other. 3 blocks high is the height of the wheelchair on the side, and just get at the depth of your arm so that you can manage, especially if you like gardening like I do. And during COVID times, if I hadn't had the garden for the length of time I had, I think I'd have gone crazy. I was watching the weeds grow, see which one would I pull each day. But that kept me sane, and I must say it was a great job. I think that's about an, oh yes, one other thing. As carers are coming in and out of the house, put a coded box outside for your keys so that you can lock your door at night and know that nobody else can get in until the girls come in the morning to take out the key and open it again. Just small things, but security is major at the same time. Thanks.
Yeah, that's the coded key box thing is really, it's good because it gives you a level of independence, and also you know, it makes sure that they're able to get in as well, and it's a mixture of everything. The mixture of the small things and the big things. And you mentioned, you know, money left over in the budget. That sounds like there's a lot gone into that renovation.
Yeah, a lot.
Mm.
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you go down the council grant route?
Not for this last extension. This last extension has a story, of course. 2008, my husband developed cancer, and he was in a power chair, and I was in a power chair. And at the beginning of his cancer, we had a very small bedroom, and he was shuffling up the side of the bed. But then it came to the stage that he wasn't able to do that anymore. So the kids were in the bedroom next door. So then the kids went upstairs and we knocked the wall between the two of the rooms to make it bigger. But that still wasn't wide enough in another section. So then we had to just kept knocking down walls and then started planning what we needed to do, because initially they gave him a longer time to survive, but he only lasted 4.5 months. So he never saw the end of the extension. So we were building for 2 chairs, but ended up only me. So now it's a huge house. But my intention down the road is one of the rooms is so big that I hope to do a bit of home away from home and have accessible Airbnb when people need it down this side of the country. So that'll benefit.
We'll all be down to visit and talk about
No
going
problem.
to the Gemma. We'll be down
No
to visit Kathy.
Jazz weekend next year, not this year.
Put it in the diary.
Exactly.
Jenny, as I said, as a recent adaptation to your house, what's the kind of the best thing you've had done? You're on mute there.
Sorry, the dog is a little bit scared of some fireworks. So yeah, they did some sort of cool features in mine, like they recessed radiators into walls, so I didn't hit them on the way past. And the oven, the Nerf oven, the hide and slide, I think it's called. I looked into them and I found them quite expensive, so I actually got like a side opening oven instead. And I got my builder to put in a drawer underneath it so that I could pull that out and put hot plates down on top of it. So same principle, but just turned out like 200, 300 euros cheaper to do it that way, like, you know. And yeah, like I actually, because I live here on my own, I decided I'm going to make this house like just for me. So, because one of the things I find the most difficult in a wheelchair is that you live in a world that's not designed for you, you know. So I was like, I'm designing this house for me. So people that are on their feet walk in here going, hang on a second, I can't do this and I can't do that. And it's like, that's because it's not designed for you. So, which is really quite nice. It sort of, you know, turns the world back around on them. But so they've actually had to put in a few things for tall people. So like I've had to get a countertop made because all my counters are 700. So I've had to get a countertop made at like 940 for taller people if they want to come over and cook me dinner. And I've had to put in like a handle on my fridge that's up high because they turned the door upside down and brought it down low for me. And so there's loads of little things like that I've actually had to put in for able-bodied people rather than disabled people, if that makes sense, which turns the tables around. But one of the major things for me that I wanted to do as well is not advertise that there was a wheelchair user in the house, because I do live here on, as I say, on my own. So you're quite vulnerable. So I brought my driveway up to meet my front my front door rather than putting a ramp in. So it just sort of graduates all the way through. So you don't even notice that there's a ramp there at all, which is quite nice. And I put a porch outside my front door as well, because I always found that coming out in the rain, if I'm getting into the car or something like that, even just that sort of 2 minutes of trying to lock the door, you were soaked by the time you got into the car. So I just put a little porch over my front door to prevent that as well. So yeah, there were some sort of cool features that I put in.
Yeah, it's the little things, those things that make life easier, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Along with the big jobs. Paula, your bathroom, how has that changed your life?
Well, no, it was great to get it eventually. It took too long. I had to go through the grant. And even at that, which way can I say this? Okay, so the first person that came out to me was an OT from the community, and she was more interested in the ramps and being able to turn and have that width with a person. And she wanted to ramp my whole front garden, which would have had the ramp coming across my sitting room window. And I'm going, no, that's the way it has to be. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. To change in the bathroom upstairs to be wheelchair friendly. And I'm going, who's going to bring the wheelchair up the stairs? Like, it was like she was an OT, but she was trying to do the maths and an architect end of this, which was all over the place. And then I had applied. She had told me then I could apply for the grant, and I applied for the grant, and we wrote down what we were doing from her report. And I had to have, I think you get 3 quotes. So initially it was just, she said I could only change my bathroom that was already in my house. So the upstairs bathroom. And I kept saying, but I actually need a toilet downstairs. I don't have a downstairs toilet. And no, I couldn't have that. Just adapt the upstairs bathroom. Now, it was just a shower unit that was in that bathroom. I had gotten a chair into it. I could use it if I was upstairs. My problem was if I was downstairs and needed to go to the toilet, I was having accidents. And like Kate, denial queen here. So I would be like, the ramps were amazing, but I insisted the ramps came down my side entrance. And I would use my side entrance and my back door, not my front door. So for me, that was great because I had more room. There was nobody from the front of the house. You wouldn't know that, you know, there was somebody disabled there, like, you know, if I was on my own and that. And so I got that eventually. Okay, we'll do it that way. And you have to get 3 quotes from different places, and the first bathroom crowd come out to you, and of course they'll all give you the 3 quotes from the one company with different names. And what I find is this grant business doubles or trebles everything. It trebles the price of everything. So this guy came out and measured up and then did out a drawing on a computer, sent it out to me, and I sat and looked at it and rang him a few days later and said, would you come up to my house again, because I'm looking at this drawing and I can't see how I'm going to get to the sink. And when he came up, he goes, no, yeah, the sink will be there, and you just, you know, and I said, yeah, but there's a glass panel there, isn't there? And he went, oh yeah, you'd have to walk through the glass panel. So for them to use my upstairs bathroom, I came up with the idea, what if we knock into the back bedroom, knock the wall from the bathroom that there is, knock and get another 2 or 3 feet into the bathroom, and that will make it bigger and give me the space. But the space was basically for to have a wheelchair in that bathroom, which was never going to happen. But it had to be done because they're the boxes that the OT has to tick. So the bathroom could have been done, you know, just for me to be able to go in and kind of have grab rails and on my good leg kind of get myself around and that. But because it had to be for a wheelchair, it couldn't be done. So finally, anyway, everything was sorted and this was to be done, and we were going to knock the bedroom and the wall in the bedroom and all the rest. And just before your grant from the council is awarded, an inspector from the council has to come out and see your house. And this man arrived in, and he came in the side entrance and he said, I just want to measure where the ramp is going and see what. He says, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I said, yeah. He said, right, I'll go up now and see your bathroom. He walked through the kitchen, came down through the hall, and he went, Paula, where's your downstairs toilet? And I said, I don't have a downstairs toilet. That's what I need. And he went, and why are you doing anything to the bathroom upstairs? No, that can't be done. You need a downstairs toilet and bathroom and wet room. So I had to then employ an architect and have drawings done, and everything had to be changed. So everything I went through with the OT was of no use. And this had taken a year and a half, maybe at this stage, you know, was of no
anything
use.
Being not a hammer or anything.
Nothing. So he said, now hold on a minute, what you have to do here is build on. You have the room and the ramp can still be, your back door will just be moved to here, and you'll still have the ramp there. You need to build on a wet room and a downstairs toilet and somewhere for your wheelchair to be and blah, blah, blah. So it ended up costing nearly 45,000. And I got a grant of 28,500. I had more expenses onto that then because they broke up all the tiles that were in my existing kitchen. So they all had to be ripped up. And I mean, it costed me a fortune in the end. And I did not have the money, like, You know, I had to go beg, borrow, and steal, like, from my mother, God love her. Do you know what I mean? But it was an awful situation to be in. Like, this was my home, and I had 2 children, well, teenagers, kind of, you know, coming into their 20s, like, and they didn't want a disabled bathroom, and, you know, they didn't want all this, but it was done the wrong way around, as far as I was concerned. If I had met that man from the council, if he was my first point of call, everything would have worked out so much easier. And when I said it to him, and I said it to the OT, they said, yes, this is something that needs to be brought up. So if I was ever had to do anything again, I would get onto the council, and I would ask to have the inspector come to my home and to give me the advice of what needs to be done. That's the first, definitely the biggest thing I learned from this. You know, like, everything had to change from going one way to another way. But the grant business is, I've had builders into my house as well, and they said, you paid 45,000 for that. And I said, yes. I went, oh my God. You could have had your whole house extended. You could have had a bedroom downstairs. You could have had your kitchen extended and a bathroom for that kind of money. You know, and it literally is because you mentioned the word grant.
And disabled and specialist.
Yes.
And
Yes.
tick. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So the system, the way it's run, I'll give you an example. I did a bathroom in another house, and it cost me €3,000. And it's fully accessible to me. So, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the hard thing of it, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, when you're doing I think myself personally, when people, and usually we find ourselves in this situation, you know, through an accident and whatever, but things should be done, and you should be able to go out and get the job priced as a normal person, not mention disability, not mention this, say, I want wider doors, I want this done, I want that done, get them done by a builder, and then be able to claim back a grant, you know, because as soon as they hear the word grant, everything is, the price just shoots up, you know. And the architect that did up my drawings came back to me afterwards and said, are you going ahead with this? And I said, I have to, because I'm going with the grant. And he said, I build a thing called pods. And he could have given me a wet room, exactly what I have, the room that I got, for 12,000.
Out in your back garden kind of place.
Attached to the house. But it's a pod, but it would have been attached to the house like an extension. And that would have cost me £12,000, but it wouldn't have been ticked by the council.
Ticked the boxes that.
Yeah, so I would have had to have. So in the end, it would have cost me less money not to go for the grant. You know. So that's what I found very hard. Like, and you're trying to talk to people and say, I'm not going to have a wheelchair in the bathroom upstairs, you know, and they can't fathom that. Like, you know, you're saying, I need it downstairs. No, you have a bathroom upstairs, so that's all that it is, you know, that kind of way.
Yeah, it's a renovation, not a new whatever. Yeah.
So it's like they have a system, they tick boxes, and they have to have this and they have to have that, but they don't actually. And I am glad in one way that I kind of put my foot down, and I was delighted then when I met that inspector, and he said, hold on a minute, where's your downstairs toilet? You know, because, so yes, it was a godsend. Now, the only thing was then, like, was the fact of I was still sleeping upstairs. I didn't have a downstairs bedroom. So I'd get down on my bum down the stairs and get into the wheelchair in the hall, and be able to go into the shower and get myself a shower. But it was that having to, like, if there was somebody downstairs, like if the boys had a friend overnight, I was coming down and going into a downstairs bathroom and everybody's in the kitchen. It's like it was off my kitchen. So it wasn't kind of the right place, do you know, that kind of way. But it had to do, like, you know.
So what's the alternative?
Yeah. What I was doing before, behind the bins.
That's not, that's not an alternative. And
I did that for 4 years.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So kitchen wise, like there was nothing like that approved, if you know what I mean, because I had the use of one leg. But that's where my nearly all my accidents then happened. Like I was having up to maybe 20 falls a day, if not more. Like some of them were slips and I'd grab something, and others were falls where I'd be found on the ground, you know. And it was trying to work in a kitchen with one leg that just wouldn't move, and you'd go swinging and you'd grab a press, like, and come
the door
back
open,
like that. The door would open. So the trolley things were great, and I got that through the HSE. Those little trolley dollies, they were absolutely fantastic. Because I think I would have thrown things out the window had I not got something like that. I would have got so frustrated. So they were brilliant now, I have to say. And I think people need to kind of, you actually will have more time than you think when you want to plan something. And you need to be able to kind of talk to the right person. If you're going grant wise, it's not the OT. You need to get to that inspector guy first, or an architect. Do you know what I mean? Because you're going to have to do that in the end, but you're not told any of this, you know. And it's like you're just given the names of businesses, and like literally you get 3 up. They'll do it under 3 different names. They're going to get
approved businesses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, and they are so expensive, like, for everything, you know. And if you just go and wanted to have a bathroom done and said, I want the non-slip tiles, the R11 ones in it, and they go, oh right, yeah, you want those ones? Yeah, well, that's what's approved, like. But you can buy them and get a tiler out and get them put down and have your whole bathroom done for $3,000, like, you know. And the grant thing just really it's a rip-off. It really is a rip-off, like, you know. I couldn't believe I got so little for what I spent.
Yeah, and
you know
what you could have gotten if you could have gotten the same thing for less.
Oh yeah,
possibly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Kate, what's your take on the whole grant system? Have you gone down that road?
Yeah, but it's all just a disaster. It's the time, the length you have to wait for everything. It's just everyone's stories you can just resonate with it, you know. Just nothing is easy when this happens.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Tim, you went down the council grant route. That's right, isn't it? When you were in the NRH when
we had no experience of builders or anything. We were lucky in that the OT from the NRH did the plan for us, and the funny thing was that we nobody came out to look at the house before the work was done. And I was talking to the girl from Dunleary and Rathdown Council, and I said to her when we were talking about going ahead and getting it done, I said, how does this work now? You send somebody out to make sure the work is done, so that we get the grant and everybody gets paid. And she said, no, we don't send anybody out because we haven't got the resource. So I just came to an agreement with the builder then. We had to sign something to say that the work was finished. And we actually signed it about 2 months before it was finished to get it, because it was going to take 2 months to get the grant. So we got the grant. You know, it's all this crazy stuff, as other people were saying. We had problems with the builders because we got 3 quotes, but the one we picked, initially said, yeah, right, grant, started doing all sorts of things, and then suddenly said, sorry, we can't do it. We have enough men, and 2 of our men have gone all sick, and we had to go to the second one. We were faced with, do we have to get 3 more quotes? All of that stuff. It just took time and time and time. But the wet room was built. I have a sliding door on it, which I find great as well. I didn't get anything done with the kitchen. We didn't do anything. I do a bit of cooking for dinners, not baking. But I manage with the oven that we have, and everything is. I did find the equipment in the NRH kitchen was fantastic, but I have a reefer and I poke things and get things down, and I break things occasionally. But the sliding door, the wet room, and the ramps, and they also replaced a door on our kitchen. We had a sliding door which is gone now, and we have a double opening, kind of a French door, which is great. But the main thing, as everybody else has said, was the time. Getting the builder said it would take 2 months. When he started, from the day he started, it took 6 months. You know, the usual. The girl said to me in the LRH that they wouldn't send anybody out, right? Because I thought they'd be checking to make sure that the work was done to an acceptable standard and all of that stuff. No, not a ticky work. So yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it's different. It's not consistent in the county councils, and that's kind of what the main thing that's kind of also obviously also the time the time issue and the costings, and it's kind of, I suppose if you're prepared for all that going into it and knowing all that, but you know, it's knowing and taking heed of it, I suppose, and if you what was my question? I suppose getting advice from as Kathy, like Kathy, you kind of have the whole of Ireland in your house with looking around at what other people have done and what what's worked for other people, and also what hasn't worked for other people. Because as you said, Jenny, like you've had to redo a little bit of your kitchen, especially to make it accessible for people who aren't in wheelchairs. So I love that the image of that. Actually, it's brilliant. Is there any? Sorry, go on. Who's?
Sorry, me. I suppose the height adjustable counter would cover that, and you'd have it all done in one go. It's at your level, and a press of a button, it's up to their level, and it doesn't impinge on anybody else. Mine is a kind of an L shape, because there's a seating area for 3 stools, so the lads can sit at the opposite side of the island, and when I'm at my low section, but then they can just pop it up to their height as well if need be. So the height adjustable kitchen thing, and you can have that whatever size you want, be it just a tiny bit of a rise up, or size wise or length and width wise. Because I remember when we did it, your man says, God, you can't do that L thing on it. The guy, like one guy made the engineering part of it in Wexford, and then the kitchen part was made by a different guy. But like they were both so helpful when they put it in, because the rest of my kitchen is at a normal height. And what I did is I put in electric hob on my side, and I actually put a gas hob up at the other level in case that we'd be falling over each other in the kitchen. So it just made it easier. I wasn't going to make the same mistake that I did previously.
Learn from your mistakes.
Learn from my mistakes, exactly. One of the other things that I did that I think is very handy is when we put in underfloor heating in the extension. And speaking for myself, but I know a lot of other wheelchair users, we feel the cold. And if the heat is coming from underneath, it's a lot more balanced. And your whole body is getting heat at the same level. And that really is very handy. And to zone the heating in different parts of the house, like the bedroom and the bathroom are on one zone for me, and my kitchen is on a separate zone, and I can adjust that part on if that's what I want. And what we did as well is we, inside all the external doors, we kind of sunk in, instead of having tiles there, we omitted the tiles and sunk a mat into the floor, so that when you come in and all the dirt is on your wheels and the rain, and even the carers coming in, at least they can dry their feet on the mat and not drag it all over the house, and somebody might slip. So it's kind of security and safety at the same.
I see you nodding there, Paula.
Yeah, that's a great idea, but yeah, I'd want to be rebuilding now at this stage.
I know.
Take notes.
It has taken me 30 years to get this house.
Yeah.
So, but we learn from each other, and I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna, David just wants to pause for a second. I have 2 more questions for people, but just pause for. Can I actually, just before we finish up, can I ask people, is there anything, now you're living in your spaces, whether they're your forever homes or not, or temporary or for now or whatever, is there anything you do differently? Looking back at, living in the space now, is there anything you wish you'd kind of done differently? I don't know. Does anybody have any ideas? Kathy?
I'd have automated some of the windows and automated the curtains, because I'm in bed in the mornings and I might wake early and I'd be dying to see what kind of a day it is. If I was able to press a switch and open the curtains and say good morning to the outside. That's one of the things. And curtains and windows, definitely.
It's very, very visual. You want to be able to see.
See out.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anybody else have anything else? So
one of the things that's on my list to get done is some some kind of a CCTV at the front door and an automatic opening for the front door, because sometimes I'm lying in bed and the carer who hasn't been before or somebody knocks on the front door and I can't let them in. So that would be on my list. It's on my list to get done. But other than that, I'm very happy with the wet room and the ramps. They're working out fine.
I suppose it's only when you're living in a space that you realize, oh, this would have been great as an add-on, as well as it's only when you're experiencing it that you find those things. And there's lots of assistive technology stuff, both for yourself, Kathy, and Tim, to do with automatic door opens and automatic, blind openers and window. There's a lot of stuff out there. But again, unfortunately, because it's specialist, the price gets added on. But anyway, I suppose just to finish up. Sorry. Yeah, go on.
Tim, I think it was Kathy that mentioned earlier those key safes, the coded key safes. You could get that instead of an automatic door opening, so that a carer would know the code and just get the key and let herself in.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be as expensive as going down, the road. I think those safes are about €100.
Not
even that. No, yeah, about 70. I'd say you'd pick one up for. Yeah, and it's only the company then that would have the code, and you can change it any time.
Yeah, it cost about 60, I think.
And
we got it in Woody's.
Yeah.
David just told me that they have those key boxes in Lidl this week.
Oh,
so might be worth a trip down the middle aisle.
Yeah.
I just to finish up and do a little round the houses idea of when you get home after you've been out for a while, you go into your front door, in your side door, Paula, and you're there and you take a minute and you're like, oh, I'm home. And is there an idea or a feeling or something that comes over you that makes it your home?
The ramp. I love the ramp. It makes it, even now when if I'm after going walking, because there's steps up to my front door, to go into the side entrance and just keep going along the ramp. And I'm just going to try and get something else here to show you what's really makes a home. This is Oscar. It's my wheelchair buddy. Sits on my lap when I'm in it. Travels with me on trains and everything. So it's once I can get in and your family, or like I have 2 sons and my dog, and put the ramp. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Lets me get in and get out.
Yeah. And comfortably and safely and effectively.
Yeah.
So does anybody else have anything, little word of wisdom for the end?
I think
Here all nice, being very quiet. But he's what makes my house a home. This is Benji. For me, I have to say, is coming into my house in the evenings and just knowing that everything is accessible to me is the nicest thing. It's like, as I say, the most difficult part for me is that the world isn't designed for people in wheelchairs. So the fact that my house is designed for a wheelchair user is, it just, you can let your guard down a little bit when you come home, can't you? So
That's as it should be. You should be able to relax if you're home.
Exactly.
Well,
I agree.
Sorry,
I agree exactly. I was just going to say the exact same thing as Jenny said there. It's when you come home, you can get anywhere, you can do anything, that it's fully flat and accessible enough that, like, if you go to somebody else's house, you're questioning, oh, is the bathroom big enough? Is all of these things, where when you come home, you don't have to question anything and you can move freely and everything. So that's the biggest thing. And then I don't have her here, but yes, my dog too.
I've seen your dog, Gemma. Yeah,
She's
she is
shut out.
as cute as the other two. Yeah.
She was shut out in case there was noise.
Yeah, well, I'd like to thank everybody for taking part, and much appreciated. And just say to anybody watching, if anybody wants any information on anything that's been discussed here, if they want to get in touch with any of the community outreach officers, or ring the office number, any of our mobiles, email anything, and we will endeavour to get the information to people. Kathy, were you just going to say something there?
Yeah, I am more than willing if somebody wanted. Sometimes you don't know where to find an accessible house. I have no trouble. People are more than welcome to come and look at what I have, and maybe not make the mistakes that I did at the beginning. Might save you some money.
And heartache.
I'd say the
Yeah.
same as well. If anybody,
Yeah.
I'm only around the corner from the rehab there, so if anybody ever needed to just have a quick look around and get some ideas, no problem at all.
Yeah,
No, much
very
appreciated.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's...
Just need to win the lotto now.
Is it still 19 million? Well, listen, thanks so much, everyone. Really appreciate it. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome.
Everybody.